Okay, so before I start my review, I just want to point out that it seemed like in this chapter that Hero was trying to rush the story along. Like, there was nothing wrong with the plot development or anything like that. It was just some of the dialogue options in this chapter seemed a little weird. Like, it seemed like characters were having two different conversations when they were talking to each other about the same thing. Like, perfect example is at the end of the chapter with Natsu and Zeref. Natsu's talking about one thing with Zeref, trying to talk to him about one thing, while Zeref is just talking about his plan or pushing, like, basically seemed like he was pushing the plot along instead of contributing to the conversation, having a back and forth with Natsu. I don't know, maybe it's just like, maybe Hero's trying to show that Zeref is so out of his mind that he's kind of ignoring everything, he's just focused on getting his plan through. I don't know, it just seemed like he was trying to, like, rush the plot along through dialogue instead of rushing it through sequence and, letting everything just gel naturally. I don't know, that's just an observation I had when reading the chapter. Okay, so this chapter opens up and we basically get a flashback to when Anna came to the future. Now, we already knew basically what happened in this chapter, about, or basically what happened in that event without even having to see it. Just off of the clues that we've had so far, basically, we knew that Layla, Lucy's mom, was the one who opened up the gate for Anna and the Dragon Slayers to come to the future. Now, the only bit of information we did learn about this was that the Dragon Slayers didn't just like get brought to the future at different time points like I thought they did. No, when the gate opened, they just shot out like fucking meteors out of the castle and just basically dispersed by themselves in like beams of light. It was the chapter actually opens up with like the five Dragon Slayers looking like meteors, with everyone just watching them, thinking, "Oh, I guess we're just having like a meteor shower or something." And then Anna walks through the gate all calmly, like, "Hey, where the fuck are the Dragon Slayers? Where the fuck are the kids that were supposed to come with me?" And then basically everything else is history. But one thing that we did get in this chapter that was kind of interesting was the reason why Layla decided to open up the gate. It wasn't because she thought it was the right time to. It wasn't because she thought, she was listening to Anna's plan, which was basically Anna wrote down in a journal and passed it along to her, like, next generations, her kids and their kids and all that shit. Hey, when the world has an overpowering magic, open up the gate and let me and these kids out. That was like what she wrote, and that got passed down generation to generation until it got to Layla, until it got to Layla. Now, the reason why that wasn't the reason why she opened up the gate. The reason why she opened up the gate, and this is what I think this is what the hero was trying to do with her, to like basically make her mom of the year if she wasn't already. She opened up the gate because she didn't want to put that burden on Lucy. She didn't want Lucy to have to deal with that whole burden of, carrying on a legacy or carrying on this, tradition, or even have to take up this opportunity or this, responsibility. Yeah, that's it. Responsibility of opening up the gate for their ancestor. So she did it upon herself so that Lucy could have a normal life. Little did she know that Lucy would end up doing fairy tale and getting involved in all this shit anyway, but she had good intentions. Speaking of Lucy, we see her happy and great again in this chapter, and Lucy's finally done crying. We see the three of them talking, and they decide to open up the book. Now, it seems like from all characters out of nowhere. Speaking of Lucy, we actually see her great and happy again in this chapter, and it seems like they're done crying, they're done talking, and they're like, all right, we're gonna open up this book and read the book end. And that's because basically Happy, of all characters, Happy realizes what Mavis's plan is, or what she told them to do, which was through, Oh, and speaking of Lucy, we actually see her great and happy in this chapter again. It seems like she's finally done crying, and the three of them are actually just sitting around talking until Happy of all characters says, hey, let's read the book at the end. Let's open up the book, because I'm pretty sure that's what Mavis wants us to do. I'm pretty sure that's part of her plan. She didn't outright say it, but I'm pretty sure that's what she was intending for us to do it. That's why she has us holding on to the book. So the three of them decide to open up the book after Gray, lets them know that he has no intention whatsoever of killing the book, because he knows, hey, if I destroy the book, I destroy Natsu. He's my best friend. I'm not going to do that. I'm not an evil bastard like everyone thinks I am. So I'm just, he has no intention of doing any of that. He's like, all right, I'm on board with the plan. If it's going to save Natsu and beat Zeref, I'm on board. Let's do this. So the three of them, that's basically all we see from them, is that they're going to read the book. And I guess we're not going to find out what happens with them next chapter, but I'm probably guessing like the chapter afterwards, we're going to figure out what's up with that storyline. We'll figure out what Mavis's plan is. Speaking of plans, though, I wanted to go back and talk about Anna's plan. Alright, so Anna's plan, we find out in this chapter, is to use Blue Pegasus' ship to lead Acnologia to the time lapse, because she says in the chapter that the time lapse is something that anything that goes in it won't be able to live or exist. So if they can trap Acnologia inside of it, he'll basically just die, or he basically won't exist anymore in this world. Which it didn't take a genius to figure out that was her plan. It basically, the second she said, "Hey, we're leading Acnologia to the time lapse," it's like, okay, so the time lapse is something that's either going to destroy Acnologia or trap him. That was basically the only two options between the two of them. And speaking of Anna's plan, I want to read a little bit of dialogue from the chapter real quick, because this is what I was talking about when I said the hero was pushing the story forward with the dialogue. During the Grand Magic Games 1 year ago, the gates were opened, and through that opening, I'm sure that we got a certain answer. Now, this is when Urza comes in and says opening, and then Anna answers with, "That's right. It's something that you see every day. It's the same size as this tangerine." The fuck does that mean? So I mean, maybe she was talking about the time lapse in that portion, and that maybe the time lapse is the size of a tangerine, and that's what they're talking about. And I guess it would make sense if it's that small. Acnologia probably won't see it, so if they know exactly where it is, they can dodge it. Acnologia won't even bother to dodge it because he won't see it, and he'll go right into it. But the fact that she was talking about an opening and an answer, it seemed like that's what she was talking about when she said it was the size of a tangerine, but she doesn't elaborate on it. So I'm not sure. It's kind of weird. It's just weird dialogue right there. And of course, at the end of the chapter, we see Zeref and Natsu. We go back to their fight, and we see that Zeref is basically he basically won the fight. He has some weird magic taking over Natsu. You can see like it looks like veins are coming out of his body, but it's some kind of magic that's like enveloping him and dragging him into something. And the two of them are arguing, and I talked about this already at the beginning of the chapter, or beginning of the review, that the two of them seem to be having different conversations. But we did find out in this portion what Zeref's plan is. And it turns out that Zeref knows about the time lapse, because his plan is to use Fairy Heart, Maves' magic, in order to use the time lapse to go back in time, to basically just rewrite history. Basically to go back in time to before he, cursed himself with immortality, and just not do it. Just to live his normal life as a normal human. He does say that he's going to kill Acnologia and try to make the world a better place before it, but his plan is basically just to get back his humanity. Where Natsu was like, "Hey, it's kind of fucked up. If you do that, you're going to change everything." Which Zeref says, "I don't give a fuck. Once I leave, this is no longer my problem, so I'm just going to do me." Which, I gotta admit, I did not see this coming. I had no idea this was Zeref's plan. I just figured his plan was basically just like to destroy everything, or maybe use Fairy Heart to kill himself. But this is actually a pretty interesting twist that I didn't see coming, and I'm actually looking forward to see him elaborate on this more, or to see if he actually maybe manages to do it. Because this is what I think will happen. I think Zeref will get a hold of Fairy Heart somehow and get sent back in time, and I think maybe Natsu will actually go back there and actually fight him and stop him from, changing history. At least that's something I'd like to see. That's where I'd like the plot to go. Maybe it won't go that way. It might just be that, maybe this plan will actually work and they will beat Zeref. I don't know, but I'm actually hyped to see what happens. But yeah, that's it for the review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Comment down below with your thoughts on what happened in the chapter. If you agree with me, or you think that Hero might be trying to rush the plot along through the dialogue in the chapter. And if you were interested in what Zeref's plan ended up being. But yeah, that's it for the review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop me a like. Subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. Share with your friends and all those other people who actually enjoy Fairy Tail reviews and enjoy Fairy Tail. To help the channel grow, I'd really appreciate it. And that's about it. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.